So, hello everybody. My name is Payhuan. For those of you who have not connected with me, perhaps I want to welcome you to a special virtual edition of the Immortal Storyverse. As you guys know, we have lots of different things happening in the Immortal world. I wanted to say hello to all of you. But before we get started with the actual program, I wanted to invite you to something that we do in the Immortal Storyverse, which is we actually meditate together as a group. As you know, one of our goals for Immortal is to awaken the hero in everybody. And for those of you who actually tuned into a lot of our Shaolin related events, it was said from our stage of the Immortal Shaolin that real Kung Fu is actually meditation. So if you think about the significance of this, that Kung Fu, when the Shaolin monks talk about Kung Fu, they don't mean forms, they don't mean martial arts, actually they mean meditation. So when a Shaolin monk asks another Shaolin monk, how's your Kung Fu? They're really asking you, how deep is your meditation? How's your meditation going? So we've been doing this as a team, and now that we're kind of meeting in a community setting, I want to practice the art of meditation together. So whether you have a meditation practice or not, I want to invite you to join us for a brief holiday meditation. So please you want to find a comfortable sitting. You want to make sure your spine is straight. This is not a religious ceremony. This has been seriously validated by medical science that mindfulness is one of the best things you can do, and it is the essential toolkit for every emerging hero. So now that we found our straight spine, I want you to gently close your eyes, and I'm gonna, for those of you who have in a place, I want you to go ahead and mute yourself. I'm just gonna set it to 3 minutes. This is a good time to clear out your head, observe your breath, and our immortal meditation starts. And as people will be joining me, and you may hear me from time to time reminding people it's a meditation. So just let this be an exercise that you're going to ignore my verbal prompts as we move forward. So our meditation starts right now. Welcome back, Immortals. Welcome back, Immortals. So I wanted to say hello to all of you. Again, for those of you who are joining for the first time, my name is Payhuan. I'm the CEO and founder of Immortal Studios, and it's my real pleasure to be your host today. This is a really special moment in the Immortal Storyverse for those of you who've been either you're watching at home right now, or you are tuning in from YouTube or live on Facebook, or all the various venues, or you're catching us on a replay. From everybody in Immortal Studios, I want to wish you and your family a very, very happy holiday season. As you can tell from the back of my screen, this is a really exciting moment for us because up until now, we've been communicating with all of you one story at a time, whether you've come in through Assassin G, you come in through Fa Sheng, you come in through Adept, or Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman. We've been talking and diving into each of these individual story verticals. And it's an exciting moment because we're now pulling the veil back a little bit and really talk about some of the larger aims of what we're standing for and the opportunity. I think there are a lot of geeks and nerds on this call right now. So whether you've been watching the latest issues of DC movies or Marvel movies, or whether you're a wuxia fan or you're an anime fan, we see a big opportunity to turn the page on the whole superhero genre that's really defined a whole era of global mythology. If you think about it, we've given superheroes a huge amount of love and attention and time and adoration. And it's not that they're not good anymore. It's just that I think during these turbulent, challenging, complex times, we're looking for story narratives that reflect a new generation, that people are really asking a lot more from their stories, and that the Cape Crusader tropes or radioactive spiders or cosmic accidents or technology being the sources of our superpower, of our power, has really become outdated. So we are now at the vanguard, as a small independent studio that's really funded by passion, the love of our creators, and the partners that we generate. So we are the proverbial David versus this big Goliath. So in kind of really being ballsy and audacious, we're saying we are, with your help, turning the page on superheroes. And this is the theme of our major Kickstarter that's going on right now. So if you are a Kickstarter person, you actually like to support indie storytelling, we have a live campaign on Kickstarter right now. Thanks to all of you, we were able to fund within the first 24 hours. That doesn't begin to cover our real costs. We just wanted to make it the barrier low enough. We actually have 4 issues of these foundational titles that come together that form the Immortal Storyverse on Kickstarter right now. We have just 8 more days to go. So if you haven't seen it, or you're hearing about it for the first time, or you've been on the sidelines, we just want to ask you, whether you're seeing this now, you're watching it at home, to consider supporting this campaign. But before I go a little bit further, I would like to share with you, a little bit of the kind of work that we've been able to accomplish with your support over the past several years that Immortal has been in existence. So we have a little Immortal sizzle reel just to kind of refresh you of the amazing stories that we've been able to do together. I'm going to be sharing directly from my screen, so this is not a seamless production, so please forgive that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I hope you enjoy this Immortal sizzle reel, and I'll see you on the other side of it. Okay, welcome back. That was a little overview of what we've been able to accomplish with your help. And just to give you guys a sense of the interconnection here, these are actually not four disparate stories. It's actually one of the most ambitious undertakings in the wuxia world, I would say, ever. You know, it's kind of a bold statement, but if you consider that the wuxia is, we are actually building the modern big tent of wuxia, that from the grounded action of where a Cobra Kai or Bruce Lee would live, this is where the adept would come in, to where Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, as the chi emerges, to go into a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of environment, to like where the immortals exist. This is where the world of the Taoist immortals would live, to the world of enlightened beings where arhats would live. So the Taoist, the Buddhist, the Jianghu, kind of traditional wuxia influences to kind of what you would find in a martial studio. They've never existed really in an interconnected world with the same narrative. So with these four stories, we've actually brought together all these influences under one roof. So they're actually very intricately put together for a very unique reason. And there was also a very good reason that we started with the adept. We wanted to pay homage to the original lore of Shaolin. For those of you who like the maybe Kung Fu from the 70s, or you loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, or you like Shaolin Soccer or the 36 Chambers of Shaolin, Shaolin has inspired all of the major ideas, philosophies that's actually given birth to the mythology of Kung Fu. And most recently, we had a chance to actually partner with the Shaolin Temple to produce something called Immortal Shaolin. It was a watershed moment for us as a young company to partner with the 1500-year lineage holder of the Shaolin Temple, and been kind of given the mantle now to move forward with our vision of an enlivened, integrated martial arts universe. Was a really, really huge deal. And we have with us today our in-house Shaolin master Jing Qing, a 32nd generation Shaolin disciple. We did a few really, really innovative things, and I know many of you were not able to be there, but I wanted to show some exclusive footage that Gene and I worked on straight from the stages of Immortal Shaolin. This is a really special treat. Now, what you're going to see is well, first of all, this footage hasn't been shown outside of what happened at the $1 Million Theater in Los Angeles. In this segment, you're going to see the real Shaolin warrior monks of China march on the stage. You're going to hear the expert narration of Jing Qing, who's with us today. And you're going to see them perform some extraordinary martial arts narrated blow by blow to breakbeats. So one of the inspirations I got this year when I was really thinking about producing this show was to really innovate and bring in a whole new vibration to it. So what you're going to see is something that's really, really, that we're incredibly proud of. It was electric to be in that room. So I'm going to show that clip with you, and I'm going to invite my collaborator, Gene. We can comment on it, and on the other side of the video, which I hope you guys will enjoy, we'll have a little talk about the significance of what transpired that day with Immortal Shaolin, and considering the fact that we also have with us today Ryland Grant, who's an extraordinary creator and writer of Fa Sheng, who's also part of this Zen tradition. We're going to talk a little bit about the significance of Immortal Shaolin and where we go from here, as we chart out literally the future of Kung Fu. So I'm going to put this video up. I hope you guys will enjoy it, and we'll see you on the other side. These monks flew from a very, very long distance to be with us today. We recreated the stage at the $1 Million Theater, and here's Gene.
With which inspired strong no worries.
They had been on the road for a long time. They came to us from Argentina. Then from there they went to Italy, and then from there they went to Australia. It's been a big project for the abbot, moving all around. He's established this whole new Shaolin Kung Fu Games, which is a competition specifically limited to Shaolin stuff, Shaolin forms, and then the Duan Pin, which is a rankings. And they've been doing demonstrations all the way through.
That process. But that leads that.
I think this was the fifth time I saw this demonstration, but each time they do different things. So and they never told me exactly what they were going to do, so I kind of had to feel it. Unfortunately, all the forms they did I recognized, but part of that was because I had seen it several times before.
Are we having a technical difficulty? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but the screen froze.
Uh-huh. Let's see if we can move it beyond this point.
This is actually the first time I've seen this from this perspective. From that
Yes,
perspective,
that's why
I went on the stage for all that.
well, look, you guys got a sense of what we're doing. We're going to try to upload the animal forms for you, but Gene, let's talk a little bit about, you know, what was unique about it. I'll just tell you, I can share a little bit more about what transpired that day that I thought was really memorable. In addition to really hosting the event, what was significant was this was our, as you know, most people know Immortal as a we're thought of as a comic book publisher, although our intent all along was to be a multi-platform entertainment studio, and we thought it was time to really pull back the veil, not just our full intent to turn the page on superheroes and build the kind of the backbone for new global mythology that's very close to spirit, very close to consciousness, to the original intent of Kung Fu. We wanted to use the comics as a way to kind of workshop the stories and bring it out there. And with the production of this major live event and partnership with the Shaolin Temple, we are actually officially starting our ascent into the world of film and gaming. And this is what you're going to see from 2024. And that this was also a kickoff for something we call the Wuxia Awards. And this is me and my old friend. Well, I'm not going to call him my long-term friend, the abbot of the Shaolin Temple. And this is him being honored as the inaugural recipient of the Immortal Wuxia Awards for his contributions to basically continuing this unbroken lineage of authentic Kung Fu, where spirit and martial combat and cultivation and health and service and compassion actually come together seamlessly. And I'm really proud of what transpired on the stage. And this is us really sharing this space together, where the abbot not only has received this award, but smiled, which is which is actually a pretty rare thing, because he's usually seen and observed by hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people. He's literally treated like a celebrity, where he has to kind of maintain that austerity. For him to smile very knowingly was a special nod to this warm reaction that he got from this unique Los Angeles contingent. I don't know. I'm doing all the talking here, Gene. You want to give your reflections back?
Oh, you're totally right. He's super stoic. And actually, this trip, I saw him smile more than ever. I've had the good fortune, like you, to have shared a lot of private moments with the abbot in interview and just hanging out. And he's a lot more warm than he is when he is out in the crowd, because he's very, very Buddhist stoic when he's in the public. This trip, though, I because with the tournament there was a lot of there were a lot of kids, and he was very warm with the kids. So I saw him smile there a couple times. But even with all the other adults, I think you're the only other one that got a smile out of him.
No, look, we spent lots of time, and for those of you who are actually interested in the abbot and what he has to say about Kung Fu, the continuation of this lineage, I would invite you to check out also on our inaugural podcast. And Ash, if you can put up a link to the our video podcast with the abbot, it's really, really worth checking out. If you ever questions about Shaolin Kung Fu, the lineage of it, the real ideas that inspired the adept, and of course Fa Sheng, you'll find a lot of depth there. And so this was an enormously important activation for us. I'm really proud of it. We have here with us today our very good friend, also the ordained Zen monk, Rylan Grant. Rylan, if I could just call you up on the stage. I mean, what are your, I know that we have the next issue of Fa Sheng up as part of this integrated campaign. So, Rylan, can you share with us what's just around the corner of Fa Sheng in this new issue, and also just kind of, let's just start at the top. Like, what did you think of the video of the Shaolin monks?
Pretty impressive. I mean, it's a something that could only happen in Los Angeles. We live in this magical place, and there are magical people here like you who bring stuff like this together, so yeah, I mean, I'm speechless to a certain degree, because it I never thought I would see that, and I'm glad that it happened, and that there was a theater full of people to take it in, because it was an historic moment, I guess. And also, I mean, it really taps into why I was so interested in joining you in this boat. You're introducing the world to this thing that is amazing, that not everybody knows about, that not everybody is familiar with. And so you kind of invited them into the living room for, a couple of hours, and they got to see something really spectacular and see what this is all about, right? And that was what I responded to, and that's, that all of that amazingness is what I tried to sort of funnel into Fa Sheng. I tried to show people what I thought was amazing about wuxia, about Kung Fu, about China, about this culture, about this specific time, the Boxer uprising, was just such an interesting, rich time, place to set a story, a very personal story, but so it is the story of this one man. And it's a story we can all relate to. It's a guy who's coming of age and finally starting to ask big questions and seek answers and challenge all of the stuff he's been told. You know, and so Fa Sheng is doing this on his own, and we've all done that in our own way. And that was how we became whole. It was how we became the people we were meant to become. But also, I mean, I think the country of China, the society, the culture was also doing a very similar thing at that point. It had been this period of time where they had been acted upon by these people, these foreign parties that really didn't have their best interest in mind, right? And they had I don't know, it had been allowed to occur for too long, and something big and you know, unfortunate and glorious and all of these things at the same time was going to happen, and it happened right here and there. And so we're setting this very personal story during this huge time in this great country's history, and that is pretty amazing to watch. It was pretty amazing to write. It's challenging to write, right, because it is a piece of historical fiction. And I mean, when you write anything, you got to get it right.
I think you've got one of the most challenging, you know, assignments out of the Immortal Storyverse, Rylan, because we've always talked about this as probably, in my personal view, one of the most ambitious undertakings, because in a way, through Fa Sheng's life, from the Boxer Uprising, it's a story of great political intrigue. It was a turning point in the relationship between the East and West. You had to tell the vantage point of a Chinese serf who was coming up. You had to cover all the straight history, and then he goes through the life of a person as a growing martial legend, and then he meets who does he meet? I don't want to steal your thunder. Like,
are we talking Bodhidharma?
We can, because we're talking about Shaolin, right? We were just talking about Shaolin history, so
he meets the guy who actually brought kung fu, you know, to he brought Buddhism to China. When he did it, he brought it to the Shaolin Temple, and when he did that, you know, as legend has it, you know, he found monks that were sort of you know, out of shape, not where they wanted to be. And so he taught them a series of exercises that married with things that were already going on in the region. And that became the first, you know, incarnation of Shaolin Kung Fu that, you know, that of course grew and splintered in interesting ways, and then sort of just pollinated the entire universe with martial arts, right? You know, such an interesting time. And I mean, you alluded to it. I happen to be an ordained Soto Zen Buddhist monk, and I can and Soto is a Japanese Zen tradition, but I can actually trace my roots back to China, but directly back to the Shaolin Temple. I am also a Kempo practitioner. Kempo is an American martial art. However, you can trace its roots back through Hawaii, back through Okinawa, and then eventually back to the Shaolin Temple. So it's really interesting, you know. I mean, it's this we are these things that we love, Zen, Buddhism, martial arts, all of these things, they meet at they meet in this vortex.
I just wanted to show this picture of the Shaolin abbot holding the story of Fa Sheng and the adept here.
There we go.
I was able to actually walk through the pages of the story with them, and look at him. He's smiling again. He was very, very excited about what he heard and saw, and literally invited us for this next generation of storytelling on little screens, on pages, and possibly for the big screen. So I just wanted to show that to you. And I know Charlie Stickney also joined us, because we're kind of together on the Shaolin boat. So when you were writing Fa Sheng, did you think one day that this story would actually be connected with the mother lode itself of Shaolin Temple? Because you were writing the story Bodhidharma. Fa Sheng actually becomes the Shaolin monk after the Boxer.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I early on got together on the idea that we were going to make a story that was worthy of that. And with the help of people like Gene, we worked extremely hard to keep it authentic, as authentic as possible from a from a Shaolin standpoint, from a Kung Fu standpoint, from a Wuxia standpoint, from a political standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, all of those things. It needed to be airtight. And it was one of the more difficult things I've had to do in my career, but very rewarding. And I think we put together a really good story. And the fact that the abbot was taken through it, that he read it, and
the warrior monks, they were literally geeking out. They sat around, they were flipping through the pages, they looked at the moves, and I can tell you they were really, really excited and passionate. So it was really amazing to see that land. I know some people, we must have some loyal readers of the Faxing online with us right now, but probably others who are kind of meeting it for the first time. What would you say is a good call to action? Why should people care about Faxing, and why should they, pick up and support our Kickstarter right now and buy a copy of Faxing #2 and #1?
Yeah, well, it's got a lot of things going for it. The abbot likes it. I mean, I guess that's the first thing I'd say. That's quite the endorsement. I don't know that you can get a better endorsement than that. Billy D. Williams once endorsed Banjax, and that was pretty good. But the abbot is a little bit better than that.
I gotta send you that picture.
What's that?
Yeah, I gotta send you that picture.
Yeah, please do. So it was. First of all, it is a good time. It is everything you want out of an actiony Kung Fu Wuxia, ass kicker. So you're gonna enjoy it. It is fun, but it's also about something. It is about a culture and a time and a place and an important sort of inflection point in history in the best way. And so you will learn something. You will be moved. It's also this universal story. It's this story that we've all experienced, where again we come of age. We start to look at the world differently. We start to ask big questions. We start to actively seek answers. We start to push away bullshit. Excuse my French. But yeah, I mean, it was important for me. I mean, I was that guy, and the interesting thing is that when I started to ask the big questions, I was doing it in a Zendo. I'm continuing to do it in a dojo, and that's exactly where this character is doing it. And so yeah, deeply personal for me, while also being, this cultural
it's important
journal. Almost, yeah.
It's important for all of those reasons, and again, thank you for bringing your personal journey. In some ways, it almost feels like it was the perfect storm. Your life experience, where you've been, and the things that you do, marrying this moment in time with this institution. It was really beautiful to see it come together. So, congratulations on an incredible issue #2. I feel like the artist that you've hand chosen for this is now really taking it to an amazing level. It's like a David Lean film in many different respects, the level of ambition and scope. So for those of you who are tuning in now, we're talking to Ryland Grant, the creator behind Faxing. So if you haven't seen Faxing, this is a real moment to check it out. I know that's just joining us today, so thank you, Ryland. Stick around, please. Charlie Stickney, I saw you join us. Charlie, are you with us?
I am.
There you are, Charlie, the adept. So were you able to catch some of the clips that we had of the Shaolin Temple, the Shaolin monks? I know you were just joining us, but I think did you catch the picture of the abbot reading the adept?
Yes. It's great to see the things that you've been working on so long sort of advance to a point where they're becoming cultural touchstones with the people that that you want to aspire to inspire, to be part of something. So like that for me to be able to see that, it's pretty incredible that that's the audience that we're now being able to reach with these stories.
Yeah, and we talk casually and jokingly about the concept of a wuxia diplomacy, as the East and West is kind of in a political, battle while the people and the climate and the larger issues of the world remain untouched. And this was a moment where the love of the genre, the love of the storytelling and the ideas behind it brought people together. So would Charlie tell us, I know we had a chance to catch up recently at LA Comic-Con. Tell us about the trajectory of Amy and the Adept. Where is it all going in issue number 3?
Well, I mean, I think for anyone new to the series, you know, we're doing different things with the different pillars of, you know, of Immortal Studios. And, you know, for Amy, for the Adept, I like to look at it as it's a little bit more of a coming of age story. It's someone who's trying to figure out who they are, what their identity is going to be. You know, we've all talked about, I mean, I assume that you were talking a little bit before about you know, finding the hero inside, you know, inside you. And, you know, that's part of the mission of Immortal, part of the mission of these heroes. And, you know, I think for each of us in our life, whatever that is, you know, for me, it's arriving a little late today because part of what today was finding that hero to go pick up my kids, right? You know, we all need to figure out what that thing inside us that helps drive us, that helps us strive to be a better person. And, you know, for Amy, who is a you know, a young woman who comes from a really difficult background, she's been trying to figure out who she is, find, you know, what her North Star is. And it's been complicated by the fact that since she was very young, she was having these crazy visions of being trained by this Kung Fu master in her dreams. You know, Fa Sheng was coming to her. And for the longest time, she wasn't sure whether it was something that was, you know, real or she was just going crazy, whether she was really being trained. And that all came to a head in the first issue of The Adept, when she was put in this situation where she really had to sort of either step up because, you know, people were in danger, but also the answer to these questions as she saw Fa Sheng, you know, this person from her dreams in real life was there in front of her. So if she wanted those answers, she sort of had to take that step forward and embrace this identity that in a sense had just been living in her head for the longest time and put it into practice. And so, you know, like that was the beginnings of The Adept. And so we're going through the trajectory of Amy is figuring out her personal life, figuring out how she's going to impact others, and trying to really understand the mythology of what's happening. And this third issue, we're really seeing a lot of that starting to come to fruition as the different worlds are connecting. And we're starting to reveal a little bit of the mystery behind all these forces that have been coming into her life and why at this moment these things are happening. And that, you know, it ties into the larger universe that we're building in all the different titles. But, you know, I personally think with storytelling, you want to start out small and slowly expand. Start out with the human story that people can understand, bring them in because they understand the characters, and then you start bringing in these world building elements. And that's where we're starting to get with this third issue of The Adept, where we're starting to touch on the larger universe, on the forces that have been at play with Amy and where her story goes next.
So where is the wheel going?
Well, I mean, like a wheel always continues to turn. I mean, I think that's so like it goes. One can say it goes around in a circle. The question is, where on that circle are you? Where do you get on? Where do you get off? But you know, the wheel definitely has a mission. There's a reason why they were at that concert, why they were trying to do something here. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but you know, all the people who were involved in the first issue are important players in what the wheel is trying to do going forward. And so things that seem like unconnected events are all going to start tying themselves together. So you see all those threads and how, you know, how that wheel has been, in a sense, just weaving them together over the course of the first couple of issues.
Charlie, it's always a pleasure. I know we just recently celebrated a really important moment when we met each other. I think it was the day that I also met Ryland 4 years ago at LA Comic-Con. And
yeah,
and 4 years later, we've launched 4 titles. You know, The Adept led the way, and we're now going on 3rd issues. Like, how do you know, and also congratulations on your amazing success that you're having with all of your work in White Ash Comics. And
thank you. I mean, it's been a wonderful 4 years. I think also through COVID, which was a hard time for the world. One of the things that I think has sprung from that is people were looking for stories to latch onto, and things to be inspired by, things to find, just ways to pass the time, because for a lot of us it was the tedium. We were locked inside, we were locked away from other people, so stories were a way we could connect. And it was wonderful to be able to start building this universe then. And you can see it continues to touch more and more people as we go forward, and hopefully it's connecting people in ways that they didn't know that that they were looking forward to being put in touch with each other.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you for delivering the Adept 3.
Of course.
It is one of the most exciting chapters of the Adept.
It is.
I want to invite all of you who are watching now or reading or watching this on YouTube or Facebook, or to really tune into Adept 3. It's really, really something to be proud of, and it's a coming of age. I think we're really seeing that we're starting to see the stakes. We're also seeing Amy truly evolve as a person. Her story,
Yes.
her transformation really coming to the forefront. Congratulations, Charlie. Thank you for your continued great work.
You've been here longer than me.
There you go, NDL. And thank you to
Well, it just means to me, if you haven't got your car, then I haven't got mine. I'm not going to get mine yet. So,
there you go.
I don't think the system's a straight line.
oh, okay.
And I think I saw Patrick Lugo.
Well,
This
yeah, I
is
guess
Kung
they're
Fu Chow.
stacked. If they're stacked, yeah.
So I want to give a little bit of shout out to something else that's part of the Immortal Storyverse that we haven't had a chance to talk a little bit about. And
There you go. There I
something-
am.
something that I write. This is the Immortal Swordsman. First of all, I want to share this cover with you. This is the cover of Immortal Swordsman 2. I know it's been a while because we really took our time. We took a guest artist approach, and the gentleman you see on the right is Jeremy Ratpack, who's a phenomenal artist. And if you could look to the left of what he's been able to do, Immortal Swordsman, where we met Phil Dew in issue number 1, is we have this confused, broke college dropout who has these reoccurring kind of feelings like he's meant for something. He doesn't know exactly what. He thought it was just being a great gamer, and that was it. But the games that he was playing and reality started to converge. In issue number 2, we actually find those two worlds converging, and we're seeing him on this cover. This amazing cover that Jeremy did is when Iron Pondu actually comes face to face with these magical apes, and they take him all the way to the Yangdang Mountains, where he encounters the Immortal Cave for the first time. So this is a real seminal moment, not just in the story, but also in the evolution of the Immortal Storyverse. And we also see the big baddie, Swordbeard, slowly become Swordbeard. And I just kind of, this is with family here, but just think about Elon Musk being the ultimate villain and eventually becoming Swordbeard. You kind of have a sense of what's happening here. So this is a very, very important issue. And let me just tell you, the art is off the charts. The writing, as I'm talking as one of the co-writers, is good as well. I also have a co-writer on this, and Brian Buccellato. Brian, I don't know your handle, but if you're here, make yourself known. But we also, with this massive drop, we also have Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman number 2. This is not to be missed. So thank you for letting me share my screen. And our writer for Assassin G has mother duties, so she's not able to make it this time, but she did. I was able to catch up with her and get a little bit of video, so I wanted to play a video hello from Jen, who's going to kind of talk a little bit about her journey writing for Assassin G and what you can expect from issue number 2. So here's Jen.
Hey everyone, so I'm Jen Troy, writer of Assassin G, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what to look forward to in issue number 2. Basically, where we left her in issue number 1, again, hopefully you've read it, I think you have. At the end, Margot is at eating a snake and realizes that there is one disciple left that she did not kill. And so she knows that she needs to go get after him, basically, in order to really avenge her master. So she goes, and in issue number 2, you'll find out if she actually gets him. Yeah. As you know, I started writing for television first, and this is Assassin G. Is my first comic book ever. And it's been a little different than television writing, but also kind of the same. I mean, in TV, sometimes you're writing to an act break, right? You're writing to the midpoint, the climax, and everything like that. And in a comic book, you're doing the same. So you're writing to the page turn, right? And so it's just a lot faster, a lot quicker, and you're really getting the highlights of like the action sequence, right? You are getting like the best shots in a film and a TV show, and it's just been incredible. Hey everyone, so one of the other parts of Assassin G that I really love, and that honestly right now with issue 1 you haven't seen a whole lot of, but just know, spoiler, that as the story moves along, as more issues come out, you're going to see a lot more of that Romeo and Juliet romance that we've been talking about this whole time, and it's between Margot and JP. It is such an epic love story that is a slow burn that is both amazing to wait for and both like, oh my god, come on, I want it already. And I just want you to know that it's coming, and it is going to be so worth it.
How does it feel to be part of this interconnected world?
It feels amazing to be a part of the interconnected world. I mean, I have experience in the Arrowverse with Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, all coming together, and it is amazing. And so I love being able to do that, but basically in Wuxia with the Immortal Storyverse, with Bashing, with the Adept, with Chronicle of the Swordsman. It's just amazing to be able to have these stories that all together are this amazing, rich world that you can just explore. Because even though we get to shine a light on many parts of it, there's still so many more corners and nooks and crannies that I can't wait to get into.
There we have it, and I want to share just a little bit about a little bit of these kind of universe shots that of the Immortal Storyverse. So I want to share that with you now. These are just some stories of these immortals coming together, and this really frames this particular moment in the evolution of the Immortal Storyverse, where these 4 individual stories representing different vital intersections, all the important intersections that's ever existed in wuxia coming together in one shared universe. And for those of you who are in Los Angeles, this is actually happening in the with LA as a backdrop. So it's something very, very special to us. And as we often say, this is really about the Immortal community, and this is us coming together live for the first time for the holidays. I want to open up the floor for any of your questions. We have some of our creators here today. We have Charlie, we have Ryan, we have myself. We also have Jean Ching. So welcome any thoughts or questions that you may have. If you wanted to voice them at this point, please go ahead and speak up. We'd love to hear from you. I think I should have planted somebody so there wouldn't be crickets. We have a clap from Benjamin. Patrick, I know you are a big comic and wuxia aficionado. What do you think of how far we've come? I mean, I saw you talking about Kung Fu Cha earlier. What?
Well, yes. I mean, let me toast congratulations to all of you for what you've been up to. It's such a transformative year for martial arts and for the genre. But I have a question that's a little bit more wistful, if you don't mind me asking. If you had any option, what characters would you like to see an intercompany crossover with? Marvel, DC, some other hot independent comics publisher? I'd like just to throw that out to all the creators on here. I think that'd be a fun conversation to be had.
Creators?
Well, I can just speak for me. As someone who's building another universe of my own characters, you spend so much time in that universe, it's natural that you start to think about ways that the two characters could cross over with each other. So if I was thinking about a crossover, it wouldn't be with Spider-Man or with Batman, because that would just feel, I don't know. I mean, like, just, it almost feels like too much. And I think sometimes when you try to do those crossovers, because those are so specifically defined universes, it feels a little weird, or it feels artificial, like you're trying to force those two things together. So if you had a natural universe, so I have this series called The Game. Like, that's one that you could see, and there's like where someone is kind of all of a sudden he's in this game, like a real life game played with immortal beings. So like there is some crossover with like people who are immortal, and you could feel like these two universes could sync up, and it would be easy to tell a story that would naturally flow back and forth. So for me, I'd love to see some interplay between these characters that Peter has, given me the ability to help bring to life, and some of my own characters, because I think that would feel natural. It would feel like the same voice. It wouldn't feel like something that was being forced just as a cash grab. It could feel like people who are actually meant to spend time with each other, complicating their lives and increasing the scope of the universe.
So an interesting crossover with White Ash, perhaps. Ryan, would you like to pick up on that?
Yeah, I mean, there is. Oh yeah, God. Yeah, that would be. I don't think he's very enlightened. He could probably stand to bump up against some of the people in the Immortal universe. There is so much crossover potential in this universe on its own, and that is what I've really responded to. The idea that, I mean, the character I'm writing, Fa Shang, started out as a character in Charlie's book, right? And
the bald guy that's slightly to the right of Charlie's head.
Yeah, and we went back in time and said, where did this guy come from? What are the fires in which he was forged? And that was really rewarding and really interesting, and sort of exploring. I mean, we went back and built the foundation upon which the other stories are built, and that's rewarding. And so I think we could make comics for another 1,000 years in this in this universe and not exhaust the possibilities. So as much as I'd like to bring Banjax in or some characters from White Ash, I don't know that we need them. I think those guys they're up to no good in other places. So let's let them do them.
I have an idea, which is look, I'm trying to get back to my own visual here, which I may not, but I think the idea of connecting with, we started with also my father's catalog of 55 other novels. So there's literally about 1,000 other characters that's ready to be introduced to the Immortal Storyverse. So Patrick, to answer your question, we're already connecting with one of Wuxia's legends, and we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. We don't have a shortage of stories of heroes. In fact, one of the things that's going on behind the scenes is that we're actually creating our own technology engine where all of the characters and all the plots that's ever existed in Shaolin novels is going to be available at the tip of our creators' fingers, so that as they begin to create and develop new stories for the Immortal Storyverse, they can access a huge repertoire of existing titles, characters, different arcs, and how they pertain to this evolving Immortal Storyverse. Look, I want to be thoughtful of people's times. I know we've had a really, really loyal audience today. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today, where we haven't had the time to answer all of your questions. There'll be other times I want to ask you to stay engaged. Of course, I want to point you back to this Kickstarter campaign we have called Turning the Page on Superheroes. It's an aspirational campaign that includes all the 4 issues of some of the stories that you've heard. They're being delivered in one major campaign. I want to ask your participation in it, support it however you can. This is also a time to collect some of these books as we start to expand beyond comic books into other media. You've seen that we've also done live events already. Stay tuned for very, very exciting developments coming from the multimedia aspect of the Immortal Storyverse. Again, if you want information, you can look at the the chat for access to the Kickstarter. Yes, very excited for the shirt. I am too. As you can tell, I'm sporting my collectors only sweatshirt. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in, all the friends and loyal supporters of Immortal. We could not do this without you. This is a big moment for us. Thank you in advance for your support, or thank you for the support you've already given us. So with that, I want to do an Immortal close. We do a close of 1 minute in silence so that there's a perfect bookending to our practice of Kung Fu together. Okay, so I want to invite you for a 1 minute close. So please find that meditation position again with your straight spine. As we close, I want to thank you again for this opportunity to sit together. Just speaking from my heart, you know, we have a really, really big mission. Creating comic books and storytelling is an honor, it's a responsibility. Our mission being to awaken the hero in everybody is a big one. And as we go into this meditation, I want to invite you to really feel that from your heart, share the space together, that we together, through the stories that we tell and how we conduct ourselves and how we live, think, that we will first awaken the heroes inside ourselves and we'll project that power onto the world. So that is our meditation for the next minute. Here we go. Thank you so much, Immortals. Wishing you and yours a happy, joyous holiday season. If you haven't done so already, we appreciate whatever support you can lend to the Immortal Kickstarter that's going live, that's live right now. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our creators, our special guests, Jing Ching, Charlie, Ryland. Great to see all of you.